There just had to be an exit for the rugged ride.
Hello there, boys and girls. Welcome back to Wettenmeyer's Old Iron. You know, it's taken me about 3 months to get this truck almost back to where it was. It still ain't yet, but I'm tired of working on it. I love this old truck, but I'm tired of working on all this shiny stuff. It's bright and shiny, and there's some chrome and everything. Man, I need some rust therapy. I do believe my pants are on fire. Looks like my chair's on fire. I believe my table's on fire. Oops! Hey, welcome to Rat Roddin. My name's Waylon Wire, and don't ever do what we do here on this channel. You know, here we got this thing sitting out here being all neglected, and oh, the poor thing got a real low tire on the front over there and got stuff piled up on it. This just ain't right. So we need to right this wrong. Yeah, we do. This truck has been sitting out here for over a year. Hadn't been started this spring at all. I know I started it up last spring, but I didn't drive it much. I took Mr. Heavy Chevy's young man on a ride down the driveway last summer when they were here, but I think that's the only time I drove it last. Let's see if we even got a battery in it. Nope. That's what I figured. I bought a brand new battery this morning. I paid up for it. They ain't cheap nowadays, are they? I can't afford batteries for everything. I'm always swapping them around. You know what I mean? I bet you do too sometimes, some of them. Well, they sure make these batteries a lot heavier than they did when I was about 30 years old. There you go. Wonder if I've got a little half-inch wrench. Look here, I've got a fuel filter. Probably don't have a half-inch wrench. I hate you. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold what you got. What do we got here? Look at this. Isn't that something? Things are looking up, aren't they? Life is not near as bleak as you thought. We got quite the wiring job on here. It all works somehow, miraculously. Yeah, we got wire testers. We got baling wire, little baling wire, some tape, whatnot. Yeah, ain't nothing to do but try it, I reckon. Oh, there we go. We got neutral. I can remember where the switches are. Our switch is on this thing. I think that's ignition. There's water pump. I think that's supposed to be electric fan. So I reckon we got some work to do there. Choke. Okay, we got some starter issues. Okay, we've got the starter's not turning over, so I'm gonna have to take it off and maybe take a look at the brushes. I've got a set of brushes, I think, for this old starter. But anyway, I'm gonna have to yank it off of there and put it on the bench, I guess, and see if I can get her to spin over. Got to figure out what's going on with that electric fan. It's probably just not getting power. I think it's a good fan. Anyway, yeah, got a little work to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling this starter out of there, I guess. I'll see if it'll spin out of the, when it's out of the flywheel. It may just be bound up or something. Sometimes it does that. Okay, we got nothing in the starter. And that switch could be bad. And I've got, I think I've got a new one. So, let me go and hook that battery and I'm going to start taking them off. I still can't use this thumb. I was having to hold the starter up with my left hand because I couldn't turn that nut with my thumb. I gotta go in tomorrow and get the stitches out. Someday I'll tell y'all what happened, what it did to it. I mean, you know I hit it with a hammer, but there's a little more to it than that. Come off of there. I don't want to break this wire. I gotta get going. There. Now, if I can hold it. There we go. There you go, Waylon. You'll figure it out one of these days. When you grow up, you'll be able to work on this stuff. Oh, boy. All right. Let's go put this on the bench. Put some power to it. And see what we can find out. I have to check the armature, field and the armature and the bendings and the brushes and all that. Y'all know about that stuff. I wonder if you young fellas do. I wonder if you LS boys know anything about field and armature and brushes. All right. Slip those bolts back in there because I know me. And I'd lose it. Doing everything but braille. It's kind of dark in here. All right. I'll see you guys in the shop. Okay, I got some positive here on the starter button. I got some negative here on the housing. And this is the one that did it right here. This little 3-pounder here. I had it laying on the vise, and boy, I reared back and hit it as hard as I could. Yeah, buddy. We get things done around here. Waylon Meyer's old iron, boy. Pardon me, fellas and fellerettes. I've got that AC on and I'm standing right under, so I know that's making a lot of noise. And I got a light bulb that's burning out. Let me fix that. That's just bugging everybody. I'm sorry, guys. Hang on. Okay, we got the light situation taken care of. But I'm sorry, you're still going to have to put up with the noise. All right, where was I? We got a positive and we got a ground on the housing, and we're going to turn some power on here. Ooh, 13.7, that ought to do it. We'll push this button. Oh, we got a starter. You know, I think there ain't nothing wrong with that. I think maybe, well, I'm just wondering about that button. I think I've got a new one. I believe I'll just go ahead and replace it and see what happens. I've got a push rod inside the cab. I'll show you later, but I got a monkey wrench there that's hinged, and a push rod. It goes down there, pushes this in, and it might have got a little cockeyed, you know, off to one side or something. But let's take a look inside and see what kind of shape it's in. Let me get you here. See, that looks good. That's not wore down, and this one's solid, and this one has to make contact here, and then that throws power to the starter when you do that. And I don't really see anything wrong with that. And this is in pretty good shape too, really. And that's kind of a good thing, because there's not much I can do about that. It's pretty clean, you know. I'll clean it just a little bit more, but it don't look bad. I think I need to work on my plunger and my starter rod, and maybe see if I need to straighten that or something. Yeah, we'll clean it up a little. But it looks pretty good. Don't think this is the issue. I got a new starter button, but this one looks new too. This one looks practically brand new. I don't think I'm gonna do anything with that. Just put it right back on. And we will explore other avenues. Despite having a little difficulty here. And this is the fun stuff, man. This is working on some rust finally around here. Oh, man, I sure miss that thumb. I could use it. Man. I don't know, that looks pretty good, but you never know. Well, I sure enjoyed watching them guys on that power tour. Man, I was jelly. I just wanted to be there so bad, cruising with them guys with old Dee Dee's Speed Shop and everybody. I don't know if they'd let me, but I think he would. I think old Danny would. I'd compliment his hair and everything. Cowboy, his new cowboy boots and all that. Sure enjoy those folks. Enjoy watching all them guys. All right, I wound up changing that starter button out on that starter. See, originally an old rig like this would have had a foot starter, a floor starter. You push on the thing in the floor, and that's how you start it. And this one's real clean and everything looks good, but there's some play in it here. Because of my plunger rod, you know, the angle of it, it's hogged out this housing a little bit in there, I suppose. So when I pushed down on it, it was just pushing this way or whatever and not making contact. So I had a couple of new ones. I buy these on eBay when I see them cheap, and I had a couple on the shelf, so I replaced it. And now I'll need to change that angle on that rod a little bit, probably, in order to make this thing last, because the old one only lasted about 10 to 12 years. So with my design. So maybe I'll fix it so it'll last 13 years. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to prime it or anything, just for giggles. I'm going to get in there and choke it and see if it pumps up any fuel, and just see if it pops off it. You never know. I'm not going to run the battery down or anything, but we'll give it a shot. After all, it is an old Chevy. Okay. Oh, now that fan has decided to run, and there's the water pump. I don't hear a fuel pump. Huh. Well, that was my fault. I forgot to push the choke in. So I was choking it to death. That's why it didn't smooth out right away. That's the original engine. That's a 1932. Makes 50 horsepower. Alright, I'm going to pick up my tools and see if I can wiggle this thing out of here. First I got to put a little air in that tire. So we'll do that. Y'all can help me. You know, I welded these little hooks on here so I can coil my hose up on this tank, and of course I did it on camera, and I had a bunch of people tell, you can't weld on that tank, you shouldn't weld on that. Well, I don't know why not. This handle's welded on, and it's welded all the way around here. Both ends is welded on all the way around, so they welded on it. I don't know why I can't. Anyway, that's probably about, I don't know how many years ago. Yeah, I was doing something I shouldn't. All my life I've been doing things you ain't supposed to do. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. Well, that's enough to wiggle it out of here. Speaking of wiggling it out of here, I wonder if I can wiggle it out of here without moving old Jimmy Hoffa. I guess we'll see. You know, earlier when I was first getting ready to try and start this thing, I flipped the switch on and I said, I don't hear a fuel pump. Well, the reason I didn't hear electric fuel pump is because I don't have one. I'd forgotten it's still running the original old fuel pump, mechanical pump, with this with the sediment bowl on it, like a tractor has or used to have. And I just think that's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna jack this thing up and take a look at things. I built this frame from scratch, so every once in a while I pick this thing up and get under it and check for cracked welds or anything like that. So far I have found not nary a one. So what are we going on this thing? You guys, you old timers, been around a long time. How long has it been? What are we looking at? Like 12 years or 13 years since I built this thing? I don't know. It's been a while. I'll have to go back and look in the archives. But I guess the thing about this that most people, the most interesting thing about it, or the thing that people remember the most, locally here anyway, if you talk about the rat rods and you say it's the one that's got barbed wire for spark plug wires, they go, oh yeah, I remember that one. And that little tiny distributor is maybe 3 inches. I've got a new one out there in the box. Like I said, I pick up little things. The only one I had to insulate was coil wire. Everything else is just far enough apart that they don't arc. And somebody says, a lot of people at the car show say, oh, I bet it makes sparks at night. Well, no, if it was making sparks, it wouldn't be running very good. They're just far enough apart. I bent them all just just so they wouldn't arc. And it's really fun because people think that's barbed wire, but what it is I stripped out house wiring, some Romex, and took the copper wire and threw it out in the snow all winter, and then I brought it in and twisted up the barbs on it. And the young guys don't know that copper or plug wires used to have copper in them, you know, and they're a little hard on the radio. Bzzz, you know, they make a radio buzz. But yeah, we got a little chain bracket here that's on a wrench bolted to the firewall that holds a coil. But I'll go over a few things later. Right now I want to just get it up and take a look under there. I'm gonna clean these off with a little 409 and rinse them down, and then I'll come back with some bleach, some of this where'd it go? Here it is. This is bleach white. That'll make them pop. I used shaker screen for the grill. Fay Bob gave me a bug to put on there. I took the original headlight buckets and I mounted seal beams inside them. Worked great. This is off an old wood burning stove, a heating stove. These are torque tube sleeves that slide up over the U-joint on the back of a transmission that had an enclosed drive shaft, or torque tube they call it. These of course are insulators. Of course this is green chain from a sawmill. There's chain all over it. I don't know what this is, but it's broke. I'm gonna have to weld it. It should be up here. So I gotta weld that one. It's shaking loose. This one's still good, but boy, I got a lot of weld on it. Anyway, little things like that. I'll check it over. I'll fix little things like that. So I'll weld that up. And yeah, this is green chain from a sawmill, and it's got as you can see, it's got a drop spindles, lowered axle, however you want to say it, and that's out of a 54 Chevy pickup, and it works wonderful. Just what I wanted. This plate is on here. It had a nice Z frame, Z down, but I had to have a place to mount the steering box, which is off of a, what was it, 70, 60 something, 68, 70, I don't know, early 70s maybe, Ford pickup. It was a unibody where the cab and the beds built together, whatever years they did that. So I had to have a plate to mount that. So I mirrored it on the other side. So I kind of lost my pretty little Z shape, but that's okay. As you saw earlier, barbed wire, spark plug wires. We got the rad support made out of chain. Got a bracket made out of chain that holds the dual exhaust, and another chain up there that holds the stacks. And we'll get around to that split manifold. Had a little cancer there, and I slapped some metal on it. There's some cancer. I don't care. I wanted a little bit of bling bling, so I had replaced the chrome or bright work on my 63 Impala, so I shortened those up and mounted them on there. These are what, 1950, 51, something like that. Hubcaps, somebody will tell me. These are copper flashlights, and when they were all shined up copper, it looked really cool, but they say on there 22 karat copper, and it's written and then it's got Winchester written in script, just like it would be on a Winchester rifle. Someone thought that possibly that was a giveaway back in the 30s. If you bought a rifle, they give you a Winchester flashlight to go along with it. Those are my signal lights. They work very well. Here again, we've got the torque tubes and some dirt. I'll clean it up before I patina it, but And then you got my likeness right there. That's me. That's me driving the old Rockabilly. And I took it down and had a guy do that, and he just got carried away. He just kept going and going, and you know, I kept telling him, I said, you know, sometimes less is more, you know. But he just kept going, and he had a scene painted on here. He had a cabin and a lake and trees and snow-capped mountains and clouds, and I had a smoke coming out of the chimney. Oh, okay, it looked like the back of a rear end of a motorhome. I didn't want that, and I ground it all off when I got home. I didn't have the heart to tell him I didn't want it. He was so excited about doing it for me, I just let him do it and paid him for it. He came home and ground it off. These are, I believe, stove legs. They could be bathtub legs. I'm not versed in bathtubs. I don't know much about them, as you can probably smell. No, I think they're stove legs, but I could be wrong. Somebody might know. Oh, yeah, this will tear you up. This is real barbed wire here. And I thought horseless carriage was a little more fitting for this one than rather than just collector plates. So we're going around, and I shortened this bed, shortened it up quite a bit. I don't remember how much now. I'd have to go back, but I looked at the videos. But there's a whole series on this. It's called Let's Build a Rat Rod, in the playlist on my channel if anybody wants to take a look at it. Some of the early stuff's pretty cool. When I had no plans to run that engine, no plans at all. I was going to try to run a 6-cylinder, but I was thinking a 235 or 292 maybe, something like that. But I started tinkering with it, and I just couldn't help myself. And pretty soon I got it started. So once I found out it ran, I go, okay, I'm going to run it till I blow it up. Well, that's been what, I don't know, 12 years or so, and I'm not nice to it. I run her just as hard as I can. I have to coming up this hill, 50 horsepower. But I haven't been able to blow it up, so that's all right, I guess. The alternator was a little too shiny for me, so I put a Folgers coffee can around that, and I wrapped a little oil can, I think, around the horn. I don't know, is that in frame? Can you see that? Oh, there it is, yeah. Okay, and that tri-power manifold was on eBay, and it'll only fit this engine, or I think they punched this out. This is a 194, and they punched it out to a 207 a year or two later. And that manifold intake is the only thing that'll fit, because this is a much smaller block. This is the first gen Chevrolet 6-cylinder, and I've got a 4-cylinder down there on the driveway, and it's also overhead valve. Chevy never made a flathead, but they did make a V8. But it's cool because you can see the cylinders. You can see them in the block. I like that. You can see the shape of them. That's pretty cool. So that tri-power intake was on eBay, and nobody in the whole wide world wanted it but me. And I paid $49 for it. And there might have been some shipping on it. But somebody did that back in the, who knows, the 40s, maybe, 50s. But, you know, probably when there were a lot of these old engines around. Then my friend Stretch up in Waterville, he's quite the welder. And, you know, I've tinkered around and messed around, done things you're not supposed to do. And I've welded cast with a wire feed, and it's held just fine. Matter of fact, that transmission housing fell off the jack when I was building it, busted it all to pieces, and I welded it back together with wire feed, and it's never cracked. But I didn't trust my my super welding powers on this manifold. So my friend Stretch up Waterville, he did this. He welded it for me. He'd get in there and weld, and I'd jump in behind him and peen it. And then we laid it on top of a wood heating stove and let it sit there till the fire went out, just about, and cooled her down real slow, and it's never cracked. It works great. Now I do have to put an intake everywhere I went on this engine with little bow ties. This one says GM, but even on the gasket under the carburetor, it's got a little bow tie, little tiny feller. Everything was Chevrolet. It was true Chevy. Okay, if you look down in there, you can see an aluminum plate down there between the transmission and the bell housing, and what it did was I built myself an adapter, and I adapted a 1990 T5 out of an S10 pickup to the back of this 1932 engine, and I have a video on how I did that. If you'd like to see it, I will put a link down in the description. Also, one thing I did was I shortened the throw on this shifter because it was really long. If you went over here to 4th gear, well, this was right back in the passenger's face, just about cracking you in the nose. So I shortened the throw on that, and I have a video on that as well. I'll put a link to that if you'd like to see how I did that.
You ever stop and just wonder why it is you do what you do?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because when you was a little bitty feller, somewhere along the way, it triggered something inside of you. You was watching your dad work on a car, or maybe watching your uncle fix a tractor or something. For me, it started when I was maybe 5 years old, or 5 or 6, and I remember my dad working on an old Ford 90-inch tractor. Before he'd been farming with mule, and somehow he got enough money to get that old tractor, and it broke down, and we was out in the field, right in the row. He was repairing it right in the row, right where it broke down, 100 degrees, 95% humidity, but I was handing him tools. That's where I started learning: the crescent wrench, screwdriver, pliers. I learned what things were. A little later on, when I was about 9, I discovered this old Maytag washing machine motor, and it had a kickstart on it, like a motorcycle, you know. And because we didn't have electricity when I was a little kid growing up, and my mom had a Maytag washer set out on the back porch. Had that old kickstart on it. I know there's some jokes about your mom, and yeah, anyway. That thing wasn't running to suit her one time, and she ordered a set of rings, and she did a ring job on that Maytag. And so I guess it's in my blood. I get it from both sides. But yeah, that old Maytag, the one I found, it had the gas tank separate from the engine. It didn't set up on top of the motor like they do now. It wasn't gravity flow. It was a siphon type deal, and I think I mounted that old thing on a board, and I had to mount the gas tank there, and it had a little tiny copper tube that ran up to the carburetor. But if you had any kind of air leak, it wouldn't siphon gas. So it seems like somebody helped me with that, figured that out. But I got that thing, man, when the first time that thing started and ran a couple of licks, oh boy, the old heart started pounding. My little old spirit wasn't very big back then, but boy, it was a soaring way up there with the eagles and the vultures and the crows and everything. Man, well, fast forward, you're about 14, and your buddy comes over, and your folks are gone, the rig's gone, you know. They only got one going to town rig, and the old 50 Chevy pickup, something like that, they're gone. And you say, hey, let's see if we can start that old car that's been sitting down there in the field all these years. That old Ford down there. Yeah, well, you got some gas? Yeah, I got a gas can here. Okay, well, let's try it, see what we can do. Well, we need a battery. What are we gonna do for a battery? The rig's gone, and hey, we'll get the battery out of the tractor. Yeah, that's a 6-volt, that's what we need. But remember, when you put it in that old Ford, you gotta put it in backwards, because them old Fords was positive ground. Strange things. I remember I had a 41 Ford car later on, my first car, and it said in there on a little deal somewhere, it said positive earth, and I always got a kick out of that. Instead of negative ground, it was positive earth. But anyway, you remember, you got to put that battery in there. You put the battery in there and get it all hooked up, and you take a look at the points, and hey, you got to get in there. Got some sandpaper? Yeah, a little sandpaper. Yeah, file in points a little bit. All right, hit it. Oh yeah, it's sparkling. They got points. We got fire. We got fire. The coil. Yeah. Let's see if we got fire at the plug. Now you take that plug wire and you hold it about that far from the plug and see if it fires. I ain't holding it, you hold it. I ain't gonna hold it, you hold it. No, I ain't gonna hold it. Okay, we'll take the plug out, we'll lay it up on the block and hook the wire to it, and we'll watch to see if it's sparking. All right, hit it. Yeah, we got spark, man, we got spark. It ain't very strong, it ain't a blue flame or anything, but it's a kind of a red, weak spark, but it might fire off. All right, put the plug back in. Okay, hit it. All right, yeah, it's no problem, man. And there we go again. There it is again. that old heart pounded, that old spirit soaring, and fellers, we've been chasing that thrill ever since. right. There you have it, folks. The Rockabilly Rat. Time for the next adventure. Yeah, boy. I breathe exhaust fumes and I got motor oil in my veins. All right, fellas, that's going to do it for this one. It's about enough, ain't it? More than enough, probably. Hey, I got a question for some of y'all. That Rockabilly Rat, when you first take off with it, well, anytime you take off with it, when you hit the brakes, it's just like you're putting your foot on a brick and you got nothing. And then you hit them again and the brakes are fine. And that happened 2 or 3 times on that little short run. Go to hit the brakes and it's just like, it's like there's a rock underneath the brake pedal. And you got nothing. Next time they're okay. So maybe, you know, I have to look for somebody smarter than me and I don't have to look very far. So somebody tell me what's going on there. What do I need to look for? Is there some trash or something in the line or in that master cylinder, or what's going on? Anyway, yeah, I'm sure glad you stopped by. And I just got one more thing to say. If you're new here, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Because if you don't, this bug's going to crawl in your ear while you're sleeping at night and eat your brain. All right, to my family, I love you. To all my good subscribers. Speaking of that, I got one more thing to say. Just one more thing. I'm like Columbo. I just keep coming back. There have been so many nice comments. I mean, I have to argue with Rat Rod Bob about who's got the best subscribers in the world. He says he does, and I say I do, but that's okay because we got the same subscribers pretty much. But yeah, so I just think the world of you guys, and I so appreciate the support. It gets discouraging if somebody's just kind of browbeating you all the time. So you guys make some beautiful comments and lift my spirits, and it just gives me the drive to keep doing this stuff. So yeah, thank you for that, and I sure do appreciate you. Perfect timing.